Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today's journey takes us deep into the heart of American numismatic history, a world where ordinary pocket change transforms into remarkable treasures. In this story, we focus on a coin that millions have seen, countless people have spent, and nearly everyone in the United States has handled at least once. Yet within its familiar face lies a version so special, so unexpectedly valuable, that collectors speak of it with excitement, respect, and even a touch of awe. We are talking about the 1970 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar, an iconic American coin from a remarkable era, carrying with it both a deep historical legacy and an intriguing modern value that has surprised experts and amateurs alike. Before diving into the coin's worth, rarity, and the hidden details that make this particular piece so fascinating, let's take a moment to step back into the atmosphere of the early 1970s. Picture the United States during that transformative moment, a time of cultural evolution, music that reshaped generations, shifting political landscapes, and technological advances that would influence decades to come. The nation was navigating change at every level, from civil rights to environmental awareness to space exploration. And in the midst of all these dramatic movements, the United States Mint continued its steady rhythm of producing currency for everyday Americans. The Washington Quarter, at this point, had already been in circulation for nearly 40 years. First struck in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin became so ingrained in American life that the Mint decided to keep its design for decades. By 1970, the quarter was no longer just a tribute, it was an American staple, tossed into vending machines, saved in coin jars, passed over shop counters, and carried in purses and pockets across the nation. Yet, as ordinary as the Washington Quarter may appear, collectors know that the Mint never produces all coins exactly the same. Each year brings variations, slight differences in strike quality, die preparation, metal wear, and mint marks. Among these yearly differences, certain coins stand out and rise above the rest, either because of their rarity, unusual conditions, or the discovery of something unexpected. And the 1970 D Mint Mark Quarter has increasingly become one of those captivating finds. The D Mint Mark tells us that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest and most historically consistent branches of the U.S. Mint. Denver's production lines in 1970 were bustling, pushing out millions of quarters to meet the needs of a country expanding its commerce, infrastructure, and modern lifestyle. But like all high-volume operations, not every coin emerges with identical precision. Some coins acquire subtle quirks, slightly sharper details, deeper impressions, or crisper portraits. Others develop small but significant anomalies, minting characteristics that, when preserved in exceptional condition, become the stuff of collector dreams. To understand the growing fascination with this 1970 D quarter, it helps to explore what makes any coin truly valuable. Collectors typically consider several core factors. First, there is rarity. How many examples of the coin exist in a condition worth collecting? Even though millions of quarters were minted in 1970, only a select fraction remain in pristine, high-grade condition today. Most circulated heavily, rattling around in cash drawers, clinking together with other coins, scraping against keys and metal surfaces, slowly losing the sharpness of their original strike. The rarity of finding one still crisp and gleaming, with nearly unblemished detail, is significant. Next comes historical context. Coins from years tied to cultural or national shifts tend to amplify collector interest. The early 1970s, as mentioned, hold a special place in American memory. A coin from this era becomes a tiny metal snapshot of that time, a real artifact, not just a representation. For collectors, holding a well-preserved 1970 D quarter is a little like holding a fragment of the American story. Another factor is craftsmanship. Even in a modern minting environment, some coins are struck with greater clarity than others. Collectors often search for strong strikes, coins where Washington's hairline texture, the fine details of his profile, the eagle's feathers on the reverse, and the lettering of United States of America remain exceptionally crisp. In the case of the Denver Mint's 1970 quarters, there exist certain pieces where the precision of the strike is noticeably superior, catching the attention of both grading experts and seasoned collectors. But one of the most important contributors to value, especially for this specific quarter, is condition. Professional coin graders use meticulous standards to evaluate a coin's surface, luster, relief, and imperfections. Coins earning grades in the upper mint state range, particularly MS 65, MS 66, MS 67, and higher, can command impressive attention. A coin preserved in such high grade appears almost frozen in time, as though it left the mint only moments ago. As interest in modern American coins has expanded, collectors have increasingly revisited the Washington Quarter series, discovering that not all late 20th century coins are as common or as easily found in top condition as once assumed. This shift has fueled renewed curiosity about coins like the 1970 D quarter. Auctions, online marketplaces, and private collector circles have reported surprising results, with some exceptionally high-grade examples achieving prices far beyond what many would expect for a relatively recent coin. Now, imagine being the person who innocently discovers a 1970 D quarter tucked in a forgotten drawer, resting inside a dusty old envelope, or perhaps mixed into a family coin collection passed down through generations. The excitement of realizing that a simple quarter from decades ago might hold significant value, not just as currency, but as a collectible, adds to the mystique. Even more thrilling is understanding that coins like this are still found today, whether in inherited coin rolls, vintage mint sets, estate collections, or long-neglected safes. Part of the charm of numismatics lies in stories like these, the unexpected finds, the hidden treasures, the decades-old pieces rediscovered in remarkable condition. The 1970 D quarter is no exception. It continues to be a coin that sparks curiosity, fuels research, and inspires everyday people to take a second look at the change they encounter. While not every 1970 D quarter is worth more than its face value, the potential hidden within certain high-grade examples has cemented the coin's place among noteworthy American collectibles. Its design is classic, its era meaningful, and its desirability among collectors steadily rising. Combine all these qualities and you have a coin that represents not only monetary value, but also a bridge between the past and the present, a small, tangible symbol of American history. As our exploration comes to a close, imagine once again the coin resting on that dark velvet surface, illuminated softly from above. The textures of Washington's portrait seem almost sculpted in light. Journey is not about an ordinary quarter. It's about one from a year that brought major changes to American coinage, a quarter struck in the United States Mint at Philadelphia, stamped with the P Mint mark for only the second time in history. It's a coin from 1982, a year when the U.S. economy was shifting, inflation was soaring, and American coin collectors were unknowingly witnessing the birth of a collectible modern rarity. This is the captivating story of the 1982 P Washington Quarter, and how this unassuming piece of metal, typically spent on parking meters or dropped into vending machines, can, under the right circumstances, carry a value far beyond its 25-cent face. It's a story woven from the threads of minting history, scarcity, collector passion, and the fascinating quirks of how everyday objects become treasures. So settle in, because we're about to explore the hidden world behind a modern coin many people overlook, yet collectors quietly hunt with surprising intensity. The scene: America in 1982. Imagine the world in 1982. The United States was navigating an economic slump, technology was beginning to accelerate, and pop culture was exploding in new directions. Throngs of moviegoers were lining up to see films like E.T. and Blade Runner. Arcade machines were swallowing quarters faster than they could be minted, and every mall, gas station, and supermarket had cash registers filled with clinking pocket change that few people paid attention to. In the middle of all this movement, the Philadelphia Mint was hard at work. Out of its presses came the familiar face of George Washington, sculpted decades earlier by John Flanagan, still carrying the same dignified expression that had become synonymous with the American quarter since 1932. But something unusual was happening at the Mint that year, something that would quietly change the future of coin collecting. For most of its history, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. But in 1980, the Mint decided to begin adding its P mark to quarters. Just 2 years after that change, the 1982 P quarter rolled into circulation in massive numbers, yet despite the high mintage, something else was at play, something that would eventually transform this seemingly ordinary coin into one of the most unexpectedly interesting modern pieces in American numismatics. Why 1982 became a special year for quarters? To understand the rise in value of some 1982 quarters, you have to look at a decision made by the U.S. Mint that year. For decades, collectors had relied on yearly coin sets, carefully packaged, high-quality examples of each year's coinage, to preserve pristine examples for future generations, but in 1982, in a bid to cut costs during economic hardship, the Mint cancelled standard uncirculated sets entirely. This single choice dramatically reduced the number of pristine, never circulated 1982 coins available to collectors. Suddenly, almost all 1982 quarters entered the year with a single destination: circulation. That meant scratches, scuffs, wear, dents, pocket damage, machine roller marks, and all the bruises that come with being passed from hand to hand across the country. The result was straightforward and surprising. High-grade 1982 P quarters became extremely difficult to find. Not because they were rare in production, but because they were rare in excellent condition. Collectors would eventually realize how scarce flawless examples were, but by the time that realization spread, millions of the coins had already lived hard lives in circulation. The anatomy of a 1982 P quarter. Let's take a moment to picture the coin itself, not as a collector's prize yet, but simply as an object crafted with purpose and precision. On the obverse is Washington's familiar profile, his tied Q, the smooth line of his collar, the gentle curvature of his cheek. Above his head, the bold word Liberty stands proudly. Beneath his chin, you see the date, 1982, crisp and fully formed. To the left, that simple but historically important letter appears for only the third time on a quarter P, marking its birthplace in the Philadelphia Mint. Flip it over, and the reverse displays the iconic heraldic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, wings spread with power and balance, olive branches curling beneath in a symbol of peace. The detail is sharp when the coin is well preserved, but most examples found today show signs of the rough journey they've taken: scratches across the wings, softening lines around the feather tips, worn lettering, dulled surfaces. All of this matters deeply to collectors, because the entire worth of a 1982 quarter depends on condition. A circulated example, pulled from someone's spare change jar, is worth only its face value. But a perfectly preserved one? That's where the real intrigue begins, the hunt for high-grade examples. Now picture the world of modern coin collectors. They know that older silver coins carry value. They know about error coins and rare mintages. But modern clad coins? Those were long ignored, until scarcity began to reveal itself in new, unexpected ways. The 1982 P quarter is now part of a class of coins collectors call conditional rarities, coins that are common in general, but exceptionally rare in pristine grades. It's not the coin itself that is rare, it's the perfection that's rare. When grading services examine a coin, they evaluate everything: luster, sharpness of strike, marks, blemishes, overall appearance. The scale runs from worn and heavily used all the way up to mint state 60 through 70. Only the most perfect, untouched examples can move into those upper grades, and 1982 P quarters reaching the highest levels command major attention. Why? Because almost none survived in such flawless condition. Without uncirculated sets, without protective packaging, without collector intervention, these coins lived their lives in pockets and cash drawers instead of airtight government holders. So when a stunning, sharply struck, near-perfect example surfaces, collectors notice. And when grading services certify one at exceptionally high levels, its value can leap dramatically. This is what has fueled intense interest in the coin, an interest that grows year by year as more collectors come looking for modern sleepers, hidden gems, and affordable rarities from recent decades. What makes high-value 1982 P quarters stand out? A 1982 P quarter that carries high value typically has the following traits: vibrant luster that looks like it just left the mint, minimal contact marks, especially across Washington's cheek and hair, sharp strike, with well-defined details on the eagle's feathers, fully original surfaces, free from cleaning or polishing, no discoloration or dark patches caused by years in circulation. Coins like this did not survive by accident. They might have been saved by someone who received them new at a bank in 1982, or they might have slipped unseen into a roll that stayed tucked away untouched for decades. In extremely rare cases, a mint employee or coin enthusiast might have identified the importance of saving uncirculated coins during a year when mint sets weren't produced. Each high-grade survivor tells a story, one of preservation against the odds, why collectors love this coin today beyond monetary value. The 1982 P quarter symbolizes a shift in American numismatics. It teaches collectors that treasure isn't always buried in the distant past or made of precious metal. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, in the loose change people neglect. It's a coin that rewards sharp eyes, historical understanding, and patience. It transforms a common object into something worth hunting for. And it reminds people that even in modern coinage, surprises await those who look closely. Collectors also enjoy the coin's backstory, the economic challenges of the early 1980s, the absence of mint sets, the first years of the P mint mark, and the unexpected rarity of flawless examples. All these elements weave together into an appealing narrative, and of course, the possibility that a humble 25-cent piece can be worth significantly more gives the coin a dose of excitement that keeps collectors searching through rolls and checking their pocket change. The value of a high-grade 1982 P quarter. The heart of today's story leads us to the question many viewers are waiting for. How much can one of these high-quality examples be worth? Most circulated 1982 P quarters still found today are only worth their face value. Lightly uncirculated examples may bring a small premium. But the real standout pieces, the ones preserved with exceptional care or pure luck, can reach prices that surprise even seasoned collectors. Among the very highest graded certified examples, the value can rise to a remarkable figure that stands far above anything people expect from a simple clad quarter minted in the millions. The video fades in, setting the tone for a deep dive into one of the most talked about and curiously misunderstood coins in modern American change collecting, the 2007 D Washington quarter that many enthusiasts associate with the old date 1896, sparking confusion, fascination, and a swirl of myths that refuse to fade. Viewers are instantly drawn in, not because this is a rare coin in the traditional sense, but because the blend of intrigue, mistaken identity, and modern minting quirks surrounding it has made it a repeat topic of conversation in online auctions, collector forums, and coin hunting groups across the world. This script takes the audience into that mystery and unpacks every element in a way that feels cinematic, atmospheric, and richly textured. The quarter in question originates from the Denver Mint, marked by the familiar letter D that sits just below Washington's profile. At first glance, it looks like any other 25-cent piece struck in the first decade of the 21st century. But for many collectors, or even casual coin hunters, this little coin has gained an unexpected aura due to a phenomenon born from the blending of worn surfaces, shadowed lighting, and wishful thinking. Sometimes, when the date on a heavily used quarter is damaged, smudged, struck slightly off-center, or even subjected to decades of circulation grime, the appearance of the numerals can distort, producing odd illusions. Among these illusions is the moment someone stares at a worn 2007 quarter and believes they see 1896. That is the spark that ignited countless conversations, myths, and moments of excitement. While no legitimate minting exists that combines the year 2007 with a 19th century date, the fascination surrounding the mix of 2007, the D mint mark, and the supposed 1896 appearance has nevertheless taken on a life of its own. And the video you're crafting becomes a stage where this captivating blend of fact, fiction, and collector culture unfolds. As the narrator speaks, the camera zooms closer to the coin, revealing each ridge along the reeded edge, each tiny scratch etched into its life story, and each glimmer along the raised lettering of United States of America. Here is where the rich detail enters, how the Denver Mint, known for its massive production output, had a busy year in 2007 as the statehood quarter program approached its final stretch. Millions upon millions of quarters were struck, bundled, shipped, and circulated. And amid that sea of pocket change comes a select handful of pieces that attract special attention, not for rarity in mintage but for uniqueness in surface appearance, minting anomalies, and visual quirks. The video transitions into a beautifully shot montage of coin grading tools, magnifiers, gloved hands, beige velvet presentation mats, bright desk lamps, and glossy holders used by professional grading agencies. The narrator shifts the focus beyond the illusion of dates and into the realm of coin condition, which is one of the most important factors in determining any coin's appeal or value. While most circulated 2007 D quarters remain worth their face value of 25 cents, a minority, those that left the mint with unusual striking characteristics or those preserved in pristine, untouched condition, can catch the eye of collectors. This is where the script adds depth, describing the process of examining the coin. The viewer is walked through every subtle detail: the crispness of Washington's hairlines, the clarity of the lettering in the motto "In God We Trust," the sharpness of the mintmark, and the overall luster reflecting how little or how much the coin has been handled across its lifetime. The narrator elaborates on how grading agencies evaluate state quarters and modern issues, pointing out how even tiny variations like a weak strike or a slightly off-center alignment can add intrigue, even if not substantial value. A shift in tone brings the focus back to the mysterious 1896 impression that some swear they see. The narration encourages viewers to understand how the human mind eagerly forms patterns from imperfections. It highlights the same psychological phenomenon that makes people notice shapes in clouds or familiar faces in peeling paint. Under just the right conditions, a faint scratch across the 0, a heavy smudge of toning, a dent obscuring the top curve of the 7, the date can appear to morph into something surprising. But the camera pulls back, reaffirming that this is not an alternate history minting or a secret release from a bygone era, but rather the natural quirks of a coin that has traveled thousands of pockets, machines, and hands. From here, the viewer is treated to a slow, sweeping history lesson about the evolution of quarter designs in the United States. The script brings rich descriptions of earlier productions, how the Washington quarter first came into existence in 1932, how it transformed over the years, and how the statehood quarter program breathed new life into a denomination that had long gone unchanged. Within that historical arc, the presence of the 2007 D quarter becomes a marker of a country in transition, celebrating 50 different states, reviving interest in everyday money, and drawing millions into casual collecting. The script offers emotional texture by connecting this coin to memories and stories many viewers can relate to. People remember collecting state quarters as children or filling cardboard maps with coins found in change. People recall vacations, road trips, and the thrill of finding a state they had not yet added to their set. This sense of nostalgia enriches the video and gives the seemingly ordinary coin a deeper sense of meaning. The camera cuts to a shot of someone flipping through an album filled with quarters, each one tied to a moment or memory, each one holding a tiny slice of the American story. Next, the narrative glides into an exploration of why people love discovering supposed errors or anomalies in modern coins. The script highlights the treasure hunt mentality, the excitement in thinking that a common object might secretly be extraordinary. It acknowledges the power of imagination and curiosity, emphasizing that these feelings are not only valid but central to the spirit of coin collecting itself. Even when myths are debunked, the thrill remains, the fascination persists, and the desire to uncover hidden value keeps the hobby alive. As the script moves toward its final act, the camera returns to the coin resting on the table. Its details, now familiar to the viewer, glisten with newfound appreciation. The narrator sums up the story: a modern coin that, through wear and imagination, became the source of questions and conversation. A coin that, in perfect condition or containing a modest minting oddity, can indeed hold some collector interest. And a coin that teaches us how easily perception can influence belief. The closing monologue builds warmth, richness, and engagement. The viewer is invited to think about the coins in their own pockets, not just as simple currency but as tiny sculptures telling stories about history, craftsmanship, travel, and time. The script encourages them to look more closely, to explore their curiosity, and to value the journey of discovery as much as the rare finds themselves. We're stepping deep into the world of modern American numismatics to unravel one of the most surprising twists in recent coin collecting history. It involves a piece of metal you may have seen countless times while buying a drink, paying a bus fare, or digging change from your car's cup holder, the 2017 quarter from the Philadelphia Mint. But don't let its humble appearance fool you. This coin marked a moment that collectors didn't expect, a moment that stirred curiosity, speculation, and excitement all at once. Before we dive into the value, rarity, and story behind this coin, imagine you're back in early 2017, holding a brand new quarter fresh from circulation. It feels no different from the others. The weight is the same. The rim feels familiar. The reverse design rotates through the America the Beautiful series like every other year. You flip it to the obverse, expecting nothing new, until you notice something that hasn't been there in decades: a small letter P tucked neatly to the right of George Washington's portrait. This little P changed everything. Collectors immediately recognized that the Philadelphia Mint had done something out of the ordinary. For more than 2 centuries, the Philadelphia Mint had produced circulating quarters without using a mint mark at all. The absence of a letter had always signified Philadelphia. But for the first time ever, in 2017, the United States Mint chose to stamp a P onto every circulating quarter struck in that facility. It was a subtle gesture, yet deeply symbolic, created to honor the 225th anniversary of the Mint. The decision sparked discussions across coin forums, coin shows, and collector communities. Suddenly, everyday Americans were looking at quarters more closely than they had in years. Something about the mint mark made the coin feel commemorative, even though it circulated like any other piece of currency. Collectors began searching bank rolls, asking cashiers to check their drawers, and scooping up change at every opportunity. Whether they loved the coin for its novelty or simply wanted to stash away a few as keepsakes, people paid attention. Every great numismatic story begins with a shift in perspective. What was once ordinary becomes remarkable. And this 2017 P-marked quarter carries that transformation beautifully. Though millions were made, far from a traditionally rare mintage, the historical significance lies not in scarcity but in uniqueness. It stands alone as the only circulating Philadelphia quarter with a P mint mark. Think about that. 1 year. 1 mint. 1 decision to break a 2-century tradition. The result? A coin that became an instant conversation piece. But value in numismatics isn't only about rarity. Condition, symbolism, public interest, and market trends all contribute to the final worth. Throughout 2017 and the years after, collectors began submitting these coins for grading. Some came fresh from mint boxes. Others emerged from everyday pocket change but still carried that bright, frosty luster that made them appealing in high grades. The story and timing of the release made collectors more enthusiastic about seeking perfect examples, and that enthusiasm grew over time. Videos appeared online featuring people opening sealed rolls of 2017 quarters. Social media posts showcased collectors who had filled jars with nothing but P-mint-marked specimens. Some hoped their rolls might include a flawless gem-uncirculated example. Others believed the coin's unique background would give it long-term collectible status. The buzz wasn't a myth, it genuinely heightened demand. The modern coin market is unpredictable in the most fascinating way. Sometimes, a coin so common that millions exist suddenly gains an emotional or historical value that elevates its desirability. The 2017 P quarter proves this phenomenon perfectly. Even years after release, people still ask questions: how much is it worth now? Should you keep it? What makes one example more valuable than another? And most importantly, does this small mint mark give the coin lasting potential? Let's explore those answers. Quarters from 2017 with the P mint mark remain widely available in circulation. You can still find them in everyday transactions. But the condition tells the real story. A heavily circulated coin, one that's worn, dull, or scratched, typically holds little premium. However, the market treats pristine examples far differently. If you locate a coin with sharp detail, strong luster, and no visible wear, it crosses into the realm collectors call uncirculated. And in the world of numismatics, uncirculated can make all the difference. Go a step higher, and you reach the domain of mint state grading. These are coins that never entered circulation, coins whose surfaces remain untouched by pockets, countertops, or currency counters. When submitted for professional evaluation, the grading services determine whether the coin achieves a score that sets it apart: MS 65, MS 66, MS-67, and so on. Each higher grade represents fewer marks, cleaner fields, and more impressive eye appeal. The top tier is where the excitement sits. Collectors love perfection, or as close to it as nature and machinery allow. When a 2017 P quarter achieves an extremely high mint state grade, the market responds with enthusiasm. The uniqueness of the mint mark, combined with the flawless condition, increases attention and bidding interest. Over time, collectors began discovering just how challenging it can be to find a truly pristine example, even though millions exist. The hunt became part of the appeal, driving competitive behavior among enthusiasts who wanted the very best. Stories circulated online about collectors pulling high-grade pieces from sealed rolls they had saved in 2017. Others bought rolls from banks or online resellers years later, hoping some untouched examples remained inside. A handful of people even found beautifully preserved coins inside everyday change, proving that treasure sometimes hides in plain sight. And now we arrive at the question that everyone watching this video wants answered: what is the value? What is the real worth of a high-grade, extremely desirable 2017 quarter bearing the iconic P mint mark? In modern coin collecting, the exact price can vary depending on the grade and the specific appeal of the individual coin. Some collectors value the historical significance more than the grade. Others focus intensely on perfection. But when you examine the upper range, those standout examples that impress experts and catch the eye of seasoned buyers, a strong premium emerges. Today's story begins in the palm of your hand, no ancient artifact, no medieval gold coin, but a simple, modern $quarter minted in 2018. Yet beneath its everyday appearance lies a fascinating world of hidden scarcity, overlooked value, and the thrill that collectors chase when they discover something rare sitting quietly in their change. JAR.in this script, we sweep back the curtain on the 2018 United States $quarter coins, exploring their mint marks, what makes certain 2018 quarters special, and how a seemingly ordinary piece of circulating currency can rise in value far beyond its humble 25-cent face. This isn't a tale of generic coin facts, it is a tour through stories, production secrets, die varieties, collector psychology, and a look at how condition and rarity combine to transform one year's pocket change into a small but meaningful treasure. Setting the stage, the turning point of modern quarters. The year 2018 rests at an interesting crossroads in the timeline of U.S. coinage. It arrived late in the long-running America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that began in 2010 and concluded in 2021. Collectors were already deep into the habit of studying each year's designs and mint marks, but as the program matured, many people grew used to the appearance of new reverse designs and stopped looking closely. That complacency created opportunity. When the general public stops paying attention, collectors step in, and tiny variations become valuable. 3 major mints produced circulating quarters in 2018, Philadelphia, using the P mint mark; Denver, using the D mint mark; San Francisco, using the S mint mark. The P and D coins circulated widely. But the S coins, those sharp, brilliant San Francisco strikes, were never intended for regular pocket change. They were minted primarily for collectors, packaged in sets, and sold directly through the U.S. Mint. On rare occasions these San Francisco pieces escape into circulation, but their scarcity naturally drives interest and value. This is where the story grows more intriguing. Not all mint marks are created equal, and not all 2018 quarters appear in the same condition or quantity. Some have errors. Some have unusually strong strikes. Some are early die stage examples with crisp details that appeal to professional graders. All of these small distinctions play a role in their collectible worth. A closer look at the 2018 designs, beauty, geography, and symbolism. Each year in the America the Beautiful series honored 5 national parks or historic sites, and 2018's lineup was especially striking. Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, Michigan; Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, Wisconsin; Voyageurs National Park, Minnesota; Cumberland Island National Seashore, Georgia; Block Island National Wildlife Refuge, Rhode Island. Every design features local wildlife, natural formations, or historical symbolism expressed through the miniature canvas of a quarter. The detail within these scenes can influence collectability, coin enthusiasts often scrutinize everything from wave patterns to fine lines in feathers or leaves. With each design minted at multiple facilities, an entire world of subtle differences formed, waiting for those curious enough to look. Now, the value of these coins isn't tied merely to their design but often to something far more nuanced: condition, rarity of mint mark, and the presence of intriguing mint errors, mint marks and their mystique. What really drives collector demand? Let's take a moment to highlight why mint marks matter so profoundly. P Mint, Philadelphia, billions of U.S. coins flow from the Philadelphia Mint each year, making the P Mint mark the most common. Even so, certain 2018 P quarters in pristine, high-grade condition can sell for surprising sums. Collectors prize flawless surfaces, mirror-like luster, and razor-sharp detail. D Mint, Denver. The Denver Mint is known for strong, bold strikes. This can attract collectors seeking quality circulation strikes. High-grade D Mint 2018 quarters can gain value if they manage to escape the typical scratches and nicks of normal pocket travel. S Mint, San Francisco. Now this is where things get interesting. The S Mint mark traditionally signals collector-only strikes. San Francisco produces proof coins, polished, deeply mirrored, exceptional pieces that serve as the crown jewels of mint sets. But in 2018, the Mint also issued circulating finish S quarters packaged only for collectors, not intended for everyday use. These coins are scarcer in the wild, making them the most desirable for those assembling a complete mint mark set. Collectors naturally gravitate toward what is hardest to find in pristine condition, and in the world of 2018 quarters, a well-preserved S Mint piece holds special appeal. The allure of error coins, tiny flaws, big interest. Few topics fascinate coin collectors more than errors. A minor misalignment, a double die, a clipped planchet, any deviation from the ideal strike can suddenly elevate a coin from ordinary to exceptional. For 2018 quarters, some known errors include off-center strikes, where part of the design shifts from its usual position, die chips that produce extra metal lumps on details like hats, trees, or clothing, doubling in inscriptions or numerals, pre-strike planchet damage that becomes part of the final coin. While these errors are not as dramatic as the legendary mistakes of earlier decades, the growing interest in modern error coins makes even subtle varieties worth noticing. An error on an S Mint 2018 quarter, in particular, brings a special premium, since the base coin is already less common. Grading and condition. Why two identical quarters can differ greatly in value. Imagine two quarters placed side by side. They share the same design, mint mark, and year. Yet one might be worth far more than the other simply because of how gently, or roughly, it has lived. Collectors use highly technical grading standards, evaluating luster, strike quality, and the presence of any imperfections. A coin with brilliant surfaces and absolutely no signs of circulation can leap in value dramatically. A small scratch, fingerprint, or abrasion can reduce its appeal noticeably. The grading world is highly competitive, and for modern coins, the hunt for perfect grades becomes almost an art form. Thus, although millions of 2018 quarters exist, remarkably few remain flawless. That scarcity creates an upward push in their value among dedicated collectors. Why people love hunting for modern treasures. The emotional side of numismatics. There's something undeniably thrilling about searching for value in places others overlook. Modern coin collectors often describe a sense of adventure when they open rolls of quarters from banks or examine change from grocery stores. Every coin is a tiny mystery. Could this be a rare mint mark? A perfect strike? An unappreciated error? Part of the charm of 2018 quarters lies in their accessibility. Unlike ancient or classic U.S. coins, they require no historical expertise to begin collecting. Anyone can start simply by checking their spare change, which makes the hobby feel open, democratic, and full of possibility. Yet at the same time, the deeper you go, studying grading, mint mark populations, and error diagnostics, the richer the experience becomes. This blend of simplicity and depth is what keeps collectors intrigued year after year. A final reflection: value beyond the face of the coin. As the video begins to wind down, imagine the camera zooming in on a gleaming 2018 quarter. The narrator's voice softens slightly, drawing attention to the idea that coins are more than metal. They are stories of artistry, precision engineering, economics, and even chance. They are tiny pieces of our national identity, traveling silently from hand to hand, yet capable of becoming extraordinary when viewed with curiosity and knowledge, although many 2018 quarters will forever remain humble